Okay, so I always used to create mood boards like everyone else, putting everything that I could find on the internet that I thought was relevant to the current project that I was working on in a single bucket, in a single folder, in a single Figma file. And the problem with that is that I would end up with a file that was very crowded, a place where I couldn't quickly brainstorm ideas for the current project. Plus, if I had to come back to it a couple of days later, maybe I had to wait for the client's feedback, I couldn't recognize the purpose of certain references. So everything changed when I implemented a simple system to actually categorize the references. The key is to categorize your references, and I'll show you how to put it together and the references that you need to actually organize your mood board so that you can brainstorm your ideas more quickly. Hey designers friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Matteo Valentino and I'm a professional web designer. In this video, I would like to show you the simple system that no one seems to talk about and the one that I use to actually create mood boards that allow me to be more productive, more efficient with my time, that allow me to brainstorm creative ideas more quickly. And the problem with normal mood boards and the normal way of creating them is that you end up with something disorganized, something that is not effective or efficient. At least for me, it didn't allow me to brainstorm ideas very quickly, especially if I had to come back to it a couple of days later. Maybe I had to wait for client's feedback or whatever, but I usually used to forget the purpose of certain references, and that has slowed me down so much, guys. So everything changed when I implemented a simple system, and no one seems to talk about it. And it's crazy because at least for me, it was a game changer. So let me show you what I'm talking about, and let's see how it works. The important thing here is to start categorizing your references. You need to create buckets for each type of reference that might be helpful to your project. So for instance, for typography, for layout, colors, art direction, you need to create buckets that allow you to always understand the purpose of each reference. So the categories that I always create, no matter the type of the project that I need to develop and to design, are for fonts, for typography, for colors, layout, photography, and art direction. Sometimes there are more, sometimes there are less. It depends if I already have a clear view of the project or if I need to brainstorm and to gather more references for the project because I have totally no idea about what I want to do with the project. Sometimes I have a lot of buckets just because I want to show the client my idea of the project. So this is another use case for this type of new mood boards, if you will. If you want to show your mood boards to the client, it's very nice to categorize them. So it is easier for the client to understand your vision for the project. Now, in terms of the amount of references that I put in each bucket, it strictly depends on my understanding of the project, my vision, if I already know what I want to do with the project, if I have to show the mood board to the client, all of those kind of scenarios. And let's say that I already have a clear view of the project, I usually take like 4 to 5 references for each bucket. If I don't know anything about the project, if I don't know what to do, I usually use 10 references for each bucket, more or less, more than 10 references if I have to show my vision to the client or if they want to see the mood board. The important thing here is that we want to change the system that we use to create mood boards primarily for ourselves to be more productive and to brainstorm creative ideas more quickly. Because if you come back to it a couple of days later and you have this categorization of the references, you know exactly the purpose of each reference. That's crucial. It happened to me so many times that I didn't know the purpose of some references and I had to reverse engineer maybe the design that I've created. And it's not a fun place to be in. In a real world scenario, for instance, for this project that I'm currently doing for a client, the project was on hold. The client had to think about certain things, other aspects of their business, and then we had to come back to the project, to the design, a couple of months later, and I wasn't able to figure out and to understand certain references, the purpose of certain references, and it took me like a couple of days to actually put every reference in place and to understand what I was thinking about a couple of months ago. And this was a huge mistake that I made at the beginning of this project because we needed to design the website very fast. We were in a rush and I haven't thought about putting the references in different buckets. So again, I tested on my skin that it wasn't the right way to create mood boards, putting everything together in one file. Guys, I promise you that if you are doing something like that, one day you're gonna forget the purpose of certain references and you're gonna regret not doing what I'm telling you to try out at least. And if I apply the system that I always use in this mood board, we go from this crowded file, this mess of a mood board, into something that looks more like this, that is more organized, that is more clear for me and for the client to see. And it is also extremely powerful when you want to develop your website. Maybe you develop it yourself, maybe you collaborate with a developer. The cool thing is that if you don't have a clear view, or maybe if you want to explore different ways of creating animations or micro interactions, you can just create a different bucket just for references about animations and micro interactions. So your developer have a much more clear view about the animations, your idea for animations and the look and feel of the project, or maybe your client want to see your vision for animations. So you don't have to create and to rush the design phase to create a prototype just because you want to show them the animations. Show them the bucket, the reference, they have everything in one file, it's more organized. And speaking about development, I recently made a video about why do I think that Webflow is not a good website builder in 2025 for 99% of the websites out there. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave it right here, and I'll see you in the next video.